All right, Advent of Code 2022, day 5. Here we go. Giant cargo crane. Some moving. The elves don't want to interrupt the crane operator during the delicate procedure, but they forgot to ask her which crate will end up where. And they want to be ready to unload them. They do, however, have a drawing of the starting stacks of crates and a rearrangement procedure. In this example, there are 3 stacks of crates. Stack 1 contains 2 crates, Z and N. Stack 2 contains these 3 and 3. Okay, blah, blah. Then the rearrangement procedure is given. In each step of the procedure, a quantity of crates is moved from one stack to a different stack. Move 1, so N, move 1 from 2, so D to 1. So D would go here, I assume. 1 crate is moved, D, yep, exactly. Okay, in the second step, 3 crates are moved from stack 1, so it's first in, first out kind of thing. Then both the crates, again, because crates are moved one at a time, crate C ends up having crate M. Finally, 1 crate is moved. The elves just need to know which crate will end up on top of each stack. Which ends up on top of each stack. In this example, the top crates are C, M, and Z, so combined it would be C, M, Z. After the rearrangement procedure, which crate ends up there? Let's copy this. What does the input look like? My script is definitely still broken. That's too bad. So here's our input. So we need to split on the first new line. So that's the first thing that we need to do. Print out a bunch of data here. List index Y. Oh, because that's sample input. And I guess that we could go back and we could copy this for the sample data. Okay, so we need to say for data, if item equals an empty line, this is the break, right? So everything after this point essentially is going to be the instructions. Oh, wow. This parsing is going to be interesting. So how many columns are there in the input? There's 9 columns. And there's stuff inside of lists already. So we could say something like, right, below is instructions, above is the stacks. So we need the stacks, and this is per line, when really we want it to be this. Oh, that's tricky parsing. That's really tricky parsing. Because they're vertical. If this was in a line, we could split them up easier. Okay, so what we could do is we could say for every opening bracket is a new item that we append to the list, right? If none of that exists, yep, okay. So we could say here, for instance, so this is a single line. Goodness. For character in item, and this is going to be line. We're going to say if the character equals this, then you're going to take line, the next one essentially. This is tricky. Index plus 1, I think. This should print out the... This will print out a few, right? We get D. Yeah, see, it's skipping. How many spaces? If it's 3 spaces, we can say do nothing. Oh goodness. Else. Because we need to account for these blank spaces to like skip. Wow. This is some really janky input. Some super janky input. We could check every 3 characters maybe. So if wow, this is ugly. If the line of the current index is this, and line of index plus 1 is not just an empty space, I guess, maybe, and line, this is probably a little too verbose, we might not need all of this, plus 2 equals an ending, then we print maybe. That's still giving us the same, isn't it? Wow. Actually, how is it doing that? Do we actually need to, I think we need to do this instead. We're down 1 level 2 deep. There. String list out of if 0 basically, right, is this, and 1, no, because that only accounts for the first, oh my goodness. Okay, well, every third character, okay, let's just build let's just call it new for now, and it's a list, and we're going to say we want every 3 characters for in line, and it's basically going to say, like, to the 3rd character set, we want the just call it item. Does this get us anything? Kind of, right? This is the concept, so we could take the index to the 3rd one, D and N, and then it dies. for some reason. If, yeah, because that's taking every what if instead. Can we even do that? I don't think we can. For item in line, that's a... If the line with the index of 3, if this is in line index of 3, right, that means that it is a thing. We're going to say line index to the 3rd, I think is actually what we're going for here. Oh, I've killed off everything. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, too many keyboard shortcuts. Okay, we've got a D. And okay, good. So that's for a single line. We print, and then apparently it stops. Why? Oh, because it only does one, right? We want every 3rd element. There's 4 spaces here. We can't do anything like divisible by. Yeah, this is really dumb parsing. Oh my gosh, we can split this by spaces. So stupid. Okay. We're going to basically say new data.split on a space. And we're going to print new, and it's going to give us list object does not have. It's already a list of lines. Okay, so for item in data, new, item split. All right, because we need to take an individual line. Got that, and then we need to take the first indexes, basically, of all of those. Essentially, if this is in new, then actually print new, 0, whoops. Okay. Okay, so I think that gets us what we need. We've got D, not really though. Wow. We still need to account for some way to get these empty. Oh, what if, okay. I used this in past years. What if this is line, if there's 3 spaces in line, we're going to take line.replace all of the 3 space, I turned that off. The 3 spaces with something like an X, and then we know that we're going to discard all of the, let's make it an exclamation point, and then line, we're going to split. Let's just see if we get this right. Print line first. Oh, we get 1, 2, and 3. That's still not correct. We basically want to just put in a replacement for it. So if 1, 2, 3 spaces, replace 1, 2, 3 spaces. New reference before assignment, do that, do this, do that. Okay. Else, new equals line. Why is it saying that one? Oh, because it's 4 spaces, isn't it? We're going to replace 4 spaces with something like this. Oh, that didn't do the trick. Wow, because there's a space in between, and then there is. Wow. I was originally thinking we could maybe strip out the extras, but we don't want to do that because that'll get rid of all the spaces and be confusing. We basically just need a way to keep everything aligned. So what I'm suggesting here is that this gets replaced with something like this, so that we have it, right? And then we know to just discard that later down the road when we're actually doing our logic for this. VS Code has decided to quit on me. That's super cool. Cancel. Yeah, I didn't ask for that. So this still isn't working. One, two, three spaces. It's not replacing the stuff up above. I'm not sure why. Not sure why it's not replacing these. Let's just leave it in blank. It is correctly replacing these down here. Try something we know should definitely work. Okay. The current problem is it's moving these over to the left. Oh, we just need to replace it. We don't need to check for it. That still doesn't help, but we don't need that anyway. Okay, so it's treating spaces, multiple spaces, as like a single space. Interesting. Let's do a bit of research real fast. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's not picking up. Okay, it's picking up these. It's replacing 3 of those, but not these ones above. Why is that? How do these 3 right here differ from these 3 or these 4 or this? Oh my gosh, you know why? This is so embarrassing. I strip everything. Oh my goodness. I hate it. I put this in. My gosh. I screwed myself over because my utility does too much work. Wowzers. Okay. Interesting. Wow, what is happening here? I pretty much just want to not strip. I'll figure this out after. So we want to put this back together like it was. This should, yep. Crazy. Lessons learned. Okay, there we go. Almost. We needed to replace 3 lines. And then I bet if we stripped this after the fact... What is my terminal doing? Yeah, we could, if we wanted to, replace a space with nothing. That'll give us everything we need. Okay. So that's really frustrating. Basically now what we're going to say is if the line is equal to this, then these are the instructions, right? Instructions below. We'll come back to that. Here we need to build a new list, right? So for every first element, if new 0 equals 1, we're going to discard this. And then pretty much everything above this, we're going to say for every 3, we want every in new, we're going to say if the character is equal to this or the character is equal to this, then we're going to pass, else we're going to continue, else we're going to actually build our list here. So we're going left to right, but we need to be building these vertically. So we're going to say or character equals exclamation point, I think. We'll come back to that. We may need to resolve that. So now what we're going to say is we want to get D and we want to put it in list number 2, essentially. So we do need to pull this out. elif the character equals an exclamation point. We're going to skip an index, essentially, in this new set of things that we're going to build. So for list number 1, number of columns is going to equal number of columns is going to equal I hate this. This is a very, 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 very terrible. We're going to break and we're going to start to do some new stuff. Number of columns. We may need to come back to this. Where did I pass for now? Where is this equal sign 0? Let's just put 0 for now. And somebody somewhere is upset about something. What? String index out of range. Sure, we will come back to that later. None. We get none. Else print the character. Okay, so this gets us D. All right, so okay, now we've got the individual characters. We need to get rid of these 1s, 2s, and 3s. So we're going to say something like let's just say there's 3. Let's just hard code this. Who cares about dynamically creating it? So the number of columns is going to be 3. We're going to then too rattled by my thing not being set up correctly. Really slowed me down. We're just going to do this. We're just going to hard code it for now. Except that, how does it know where to put it? Whoa, this parsing is awful. This isn't even this problem isn't even difficult. It's getting this data into a workable format. What we could do instead is find the first line that has numbers, work backwards and build a set, not a set, but a list from that. Because the index of that thing will always match up. Let's start over. For line in data, print line. Okay. Now we're going to go down and say if line 1 is numeric, right? If the type of line 1 is an integer, we're going to print the line. Let's see if we can get that 1, 2, 3 line. Why doesn't it like that? I want the first index. Yep, we got the 1. Oh, because it's a none at the end. And line doesn't equal none. Is that a thing? Nope, we're gonna still get index out of range. Oh, and, oh, and line doesn't is not none. Oh, will it go away if I do that? Nope. I think it's freaking out because there's nothing here. What if we put this before it? Order of operations shouldn't matter. This is dumb. If line 1 and the type of it. Please. Okay. Jeez. Okay. So basically we want to say if we get, wow. If line 1 is set and line 1 equals an integer, which is this one, we want to print it out. Why is this so difficult? Why is this so hard? I'm losing my mind a little bit. Is it a string? It is. Unreal. Typing is hard. Okay. So we now have that line. So now what we can do is we can take the index of this and we can enumerate this. And then we can say we want to go up 1 from this. So we want to print data at the current index -1 of what? Of 1? Will that at least give us the z? It will. Okay. And continue, right? For every possible one up the stack. So for, Okay, so we can say here stack depth maybe is 0. If we go into a line, we're gonna go like this. And so for range, geez, how do you do? For I think it's 4 line up in range of this. Print that. Z. Like that. 1zn. Okay, so what we could do is we could build a list where the order is important. List order is important. That may come to bite us in the butt. Let's find out though. Let's say stack is gonna equal something like this. And really right here, we're gonna say stack, dot append. And in the order we're appending is the order that we needed it, right? And then if we printed, said stack, we would get a list. If we printed it like here, I think, we would get zn, list order is important, so we basically want it to be, if a character is in the alphabet, we want to exclude everything else. If character in alphabet Python is alpha, perfect. So if this is going to be car in question, it's a stupid name, but if the character is alpha, if the character in question is alpha, then we append it to the stack, then we print the stack, then we should get z and n, and it is in order from bottom to top. Bottom to top. Equals first to last, right? Okay, and that we stop after the first one. Why? Right, that just gets us number one. Oh, because we check literally for number one here. So then we can say stacks is a list of lists. And when we're all the way to the bottom here, we can say stacks.append a single stack. When we get to the very end, we can print all the stacks. And then last but not least, we need to change this. So if the line number is equal to dot is if an integer of this, if we converted it and it equals, if, wow, check if string is an int, like without converting it, because that'll break some stuff. Is digit, is that a thing? Dot is digit. Okay, that at least gets us that. We're still only getting, I think because of this guy right here, line 1. Yep. Oh, wow. So now we need to check the index of the character here. So we need a multiple for loop if character in line, for character in line rather. Character index, do we need enumerate here as well? So if we said something like, if the line's character index, get the character index, do all the things, does that break? Of course it does. Breaks here. So if the line is not empty, and this exists, if the character index is a digit, so let's say 1.is digit, true, perfect. So that is what we need after all. For line up in range, this is three for loops. We're gonna go up in the range, stack depth. We're gonna get the original data, the line index, we're gonna go up a line, and then we're going to get the current character index that we're on, which seems reasonable, but it's freaking out here, saying that string index out of range. Oh, one of these is a string. Character index is int character index is going to equal an integer of the character index. Wait, nope. The character itself is a string. This should be an integer. That's an integer. That's an integer. What does it not like? Print the line index, right? Let's see what it says. 3H5555, whatever, line up. A bunch of numbers. The character index. What does it not like about any of that? Oh, index error, string index out of range. Right. Okay, dumb. Let's just, oops. Try, accept, index error. I'll just pass. Okay. We've got some stuff. This does not look correct at all, though. ZN, and then we like just keep on going. We need to probably break out of here. At some point. Oh, yeah, we're really deep in the weeds here. I think we need one more check right after this one. Right, that says if we go a line up, we basically need like these calls again. Do we need to like recursively call this? I think so. I think we need to say something like this. So digit is alpha for this one. Nice, we killed it off. Oh no, sorry, we don't need this one. We need... Oh, we are doing this, yeah. Let's see what the stack depth is. We eventually get to 9, which is super incorrect. The stack depth is 3. So that's our problem. Basically saying every time we go to a new line, this should get bigger. We're going to go through a bunch of stuff. We're going to go back to the top. If the line equals this, I think we want to break. That appears to have done nothing. We basically want to stop after we get to the instruction portion. Can we just pull this out? Yeah, that doesn't do anything. And in fact, we can pull this up even one more. Okay, I think that gets us the right stacked at 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That fixes one of multiple problems. This should just be like 4, maybe, yes, okay. So that fixes one problem. Separate the instructions from the stacks. Okay, so then now it's building everything into a single stack. So now we're saying on the very last line, essentially, if the line's character index is a digit, so we get to know the number of the stack that we're on. Print line up. Oh. That's not a line, that is a, well, a line up is technically a line index up, right? This is how many we're gonna subtract from it. So, okay, that's fair. So the character in question is gonna be the data, the line index that we're currently on, subtract how many we need to go up. And we're going to get the current character index. MCD, yep, and then 3 is P. Okay, perfect. I mean, it's got this correct. Is there a point where we can stop? If if there's an index error, we've hit the top, we need to split we've got multiple nesteds in here. That doesn't help. I'm curious. If the character in question is equal to a space, then print true. Okay, so what instead we can do here is break pass, and then if we break out of this one, break, not quite. Oh, it's close. Right, because if we get a character in question, that's essentially a space. No, character in question could be a space. That means it's empty. If the character in question is a space, then we need to insert we append an exclamation. This is one stack. This is one stack. This is one stack because P is by itself. Okay, good. That's another problem fixed. These are empty spaces. And then the last problem to fix is now, once you hit the top, if there's nothing else, how do you know when we've hit the top? If the line index up equals stack depth, maybe? If the line index up equals the stack depth, then we what? Do we break? Do we break out? Does that do anything for us? It doesn't. Yeah, see, it's not even filling these at all. Probably because these are all in the wrong place. Because we're doing this weird, right? We're building vertical columns out of horizontal parsing methods, and so somewhere in here, it's never shifting. This is the problem line. It's in the wrong place. Question is how do we know that we've successfully done everything? If the stack depth is equal to the I was thinking this. Maybe it's +1. Okay, well that fills multiple with the whole set of data. It's not quite correct. Zero, 1, 2, 3, because it starts at 0. Stack depth is going to be 4. So this line of thinking is correct, I think. Once we hit the end, break out, essentially. Build list, whatever you want to call it. This whole time we're appending the stack to it. Where does stack get reset? On the next line. Ooh. There you go. We're resetting it, basically. Like this, except it needs an initial, and then we reset it like that. Aha! Breakthrough. Okay, good. So, wow, took us an hour to get this far. Okay, we have our dumb stacks. Now we have our instructions. That's the next set of things that we need to do. So we're going to say, for line index line in enumerate data, if the line equals, it's once the line equals, what we could do is we could say while line doesn't equal an empty line, pass and then once we hit it, we're going to take the line index and everything forward. Instructions. In fact, we could even do this up here. We could say instruction line start, instruction index start is going to equal 0 once we hit this. Break. This is going to equal the current line index. Yeah. And then down here, we don't even need to do that. We can say start on line whatever, right? Instructions is going to equal data starting at this one, I think. And we can replace that and we can print the line. And I think that we will get nothing. That's cool. Let's get rid of all this jazz. Instructions, print instructions. Let's see what, oh boy. Let's see what this one says first. Whoa, nope, we get all sorts of interesting stuff. +1. Okay. That's what I thought we might have needed to do. We're gonna take that +1. We're gonna do this. That is a line that we need, and we want everything after that. Everything after that. Good. Okay, so now these are the instructions. So now we need to actually start doing stuff. We're going to build a new list of instructions. So quantity is going to equal the line line list is going to equal the line.split on the space. This is going to be quantity is the line at the first. Then we've got from column is going to be line at the 3, and to column is going to be line at the 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to print the quantity, the to, the from, just to make sure we've got these before moving on and making ourselves look silly. We didn't quite get it. Whoops. We need to replace this. Okay, good. So now we've got our things, and now we can actually start to do something with them. So we're going to say that we want to move one item from stack 2 onto stack 1. And okay, now we need to clean up these stacks, right? Yep, we need to clean up the stack. In fact, we don't even need to clean up the stacks because it's going to want to know what's on the very top. So we can just ignore exclamations. Actually, yeah. Cleaned stack is what we're going to call it. Stack is going to equal item for item in stack if item doesn't equal this, I think. Nope, and then we append the new thing. Good. So now we can just add to the end without any worries. So what we're going to say is we're going to take the from items is going to be stacks. We want to get stack number from column, I think is how this works. And this is an index issue, so we're going to fix that. Oh, yes, because it starts at 0. 2 items is going to be stacks 2 column plus 1. And we want now to move 2 of those from here to there. These are different lists. And I think we could pop, right? Python pop takes it from 1 and returns it. Remove the element at index 2. Oh. The index that you want. And it returns it. And it also removes it, which we kind of want. So we could say four times in quantity. We're going to pop this. Range. This is dumb. 4 times in the range of the quantity, we're going to from items dot pop. Always the last item. Move, item to move is going to equal that, and we're going to say the 2 items, we're going to append it to the end, right? Because we know that bottom to top, it needs to be put on the top. 2 items. Probably could have also used a Q for this, but I have never really used those, so I'm not going to. We're going to append it, and then we're going to rinse and repeat. Item to move. And then what does that actually do for us? That updates from items and 2 items, and once that's done, we need to replace those lists and then move on to the next set of instructions. So now what we need to do is we want to say stacks, I think, stacks does that actually update stacks? Oh, don't give me this type error bullcrap. Okay, what do you want? From column. These are strings. Dumb. Int. Okay. List index out of range. For which one? From items. We're just gonna swipe these under the rug, except index error, pass. That still doesn't. Local variable from items, reference before assignment. From items. Oh, okay. Did we actually need to worry about those? Pop from empty list. Let's. How far do we get? What's the first thing that it asks us to do? Move one from 2 to 1. Oh, we've got these backwards. Quantity. Oh no, move 1 from 2 to 1. We've got that. And then we just want to let's just break out. So we want to move 1 item from column 2, which this is not correct. This is getting 3. Move 1 item from 2, which would be D, to 1. Something's really messed up here. So let's double check that that's what it wants us to do, right? Yeah, it wants us to move D to 1. So from items is not correct. Oops. want that to be a 1. I really just want to see what's in here. It's still getting P. Let's make sure that we're getting the right thing here. From 2 to 1. 0, 1. So this is actually, we want a negative. -1, not a +1. MCD. We want to move, yes, good. Okay. So I think that was what we're missing. Let's put these back. Oh, wow, we've got, let's print stacks at the very end. Oh, we did it. We did it. So that gets C, M, and Z, and then, okay, perfect. So the answer is going to equal yeah. The answer is going to equal item for item in stacks for I for I, because this is a list of a list. In item item for item in stacks. Oh wow. Multiple list comprehension. I've got an in and a 4 in the wrong spot. I4 in 4 in 4 in 4 in. Or is it I? Or do I need? Whoopsies. It still doesn't like that. Print answer. Let's see, I want the last item. CMZ, ZZZ. This thing for this in the list. No, that's not quite right. Wow, these are complicated. J for J in that, for I in that. This for this in that, for. No, oh gosh. I've totally forgotten how to do this. I used to do this all the time. Oh boy. We basically want the last one from each. So oh, this is really close. We want the top we want the character for every character. No. We want the stack for every stack in stacks for character in stacks. stack without the S. We're getting extra Z's in here somewhere. I don't know why. Okay, so I mean this gives us. This is dumb. I'll rebuild the thing later, but we basically want for entry in stacks. We're gonna call it a stack in stacks. We're gonna say answers plus equals. Answer is an empty string, and the answer is going to be stack of the very last item, and then we're gonna print out the answer, right? CMZ. So now if we switch this to input for the day, we're gonna get some big ol' long thing. We're gonna come, hopefully this is the right answer because I'm so done. Perfect, it is. Okay, part 2. Some mob is covering the writing on the side of the crane and you quickly wipe it away. It's a crate mate, whatever. The ability to pick up and move multiple crates at once. Moving a single crate from stack 2 to stack 1 behaves the same as before. However, the action of moving 3 crates from stack 1 to stack 2 means that those 3 moved crates stay in the same order. Okay. So it's not first in, first out. Now it is just grab a bunch. They retain their order as well. Finally, a single crate is still moved from stack 1 to stack 2, but now it's crate C that gets moved. In this example, the crate mover has put crates in totally different order. Before the rearrangement process, after the rearrangement process, what crates end up on the top of each? Okay. So this is going to be answer 1. And now what we need to do is we need to tweak essentially this pop we've got down here. Which is right where here. Whoa. Part 1. What we can do instead is say we need them in the same order. So instead of always popping the top, what if instead we popped so like if I wanted 2 items, this one right here is going to pull it from the top always and put it on the top always, or the end rather in this case. For this, we're saying we want to take like the second one down basically. Move that first and then reverse. minus time plus 1, maybe? Oh no. Oh man. Answer, we gotta break these up into answer 1 stacks is gonna equal stacks, and answer 2 stacks is gonna equal stacks. There, and we're going to say answer 2 stacks is this is ugly. I think we need that, and then I think we need this, like that. Part 2. Yikes. And then answer 1 stacks, answer 2 like this, answer 2, answer 2, get rid of this, get this, answer 2, and then we run it and it breaks, and that's fine because now we're at this. Okay, so if we wanted to do this, that's going to take away a 0 plus 2 doesn't do us any good. So let's cut this out. Still an issue. Oh. Why is that a problem? Oh. One, 1, 2, 2. 1, 2. Pop from an empty list. It's literally the same logic though, so that's why I'm confused. Yeah, it's literally the same logic. It should give us the exact same answer because I haven't changed anything yet. Sample. Let's put it back to the sample. Didn't like that. Wow, what is happening? From items to yeah, those don't look like this. Something broke. MCD ZNDC. Whoa. Yeah, something broke a little higher up. The instructions remain the same. Okay, no, those do look correct. Because that's what's going to happen. Right, those look exactly identical. MCD, yep. I think it doesn't, yeah, the underlying, do we need to go even higher up here? Yeah, we do, don't we? Oh, we do. Yep. Because we're doing them in place. Too bad. So sad. Okay. So now I think that this will give us no errors. Oh, cool. We're still getting an error. They're two totally separate variables. That's crazy. It doesn't even get to this one. Okay, set 1's here, set 2's here, they're identical. Let's pretend though that here we said is it because we're doing this? I mean, they are separate. We should not be doing this on the same line. That's just confusing. So let's print them out on separate lines. Okay, so they're definitely different. Python's not treating them as the same. Except I don't think this is the correct way to do this, but Interesting. So it's now throwing this for number 1 as well. Not quite sure why or what happened. If stack. I don't know why the first one was fine. Can we still get CMZ out of this? Or did we break it? We broke something. We definitely broke something. Now we're just getting MZ. That's super cool. And I don't know where it is because I've broken these out completely into their own things. Let's go all the way back. Back to a working state. Start there. Back before we added part 2. And we'll figure something out here. Okay. That's correct for the input, but we want the sample CMZ. Okay. For part 2, we pretty much need to be able to keep them in the right order. So let's just pretend that, let's just discard part 1 for now. This is it in its working condition. We're going to keep a copy of it. We'll come back to it. And now let's go ahead and just try moving some stuff. So if we know the quantity, the number of times, if they want to move 2 items, for instance, move X number of items to new list Python. Yeah, this is... You basically want like an inverse range. Right, so we know how many times we're going to... So instead of popping this, we want to take the quantity of what we are at. We do want to go from the back, and we're going to take the quantity minus the times. Right, so it starts on 0. I mean, that might be it, to be honest. Plus 1. Let's just print this out. Let's see what this does. 1, 3, 2. What about how many times? The quantity. Let's do quantity, sorry. This should be the number of moves we want, 1, 3, 3, right? We want, none of those are right. We want 1, 3, 2, 1. except that's inside the loop. So if we do print quantity, 1, 3, and then something breaks, 1, 3, then we want 2 and 1. Oh, and it's getting some of this jank. 1, 3, 2, 1, right? 1, 3, 2, 1. So we want the quantity, which is 1. We want to move one thing. So if the quantity is equal to 1, new quantity is going to equal 1. Let's see. If the new quantity is greater than or equal to 1, right? Else, we want the new quantity to equal sorry, we want less than or equal to 1. If the new quantity crap, what am I trying to do here? I think we want times. If the times is less than or equal to 1, it's going to, because then that breaks at 1. Can't we just say start at 1, I think? Plus. Range takes no keyword argument. Range start Python. I swear that there was a way to, yeah, there is. Oh, 1 quantity, no keyword arguments. DCN? No, MCD. So that's not quite right. Because if we want to keep it in the same order, if we want a 1, we're going to go, yes, if, maybe now we don't need to start at 1, because MCD. There we go. Indexes are the worst. Let's see if this works. It does. Holy cow. What a day. That took way too long. Okay. Problem number 1 for us is that we found out that my utility, which I have this little utility that opens up my input every day. It reads all the lines. It spits out anything that is a blank line, and then it replaces new lines with blank spaces. And it previously stripped anything. I don't know that I'm going to put that back, actually, because that absolutely burned me. I don't know the input to have bogus stuff on the sides, so stripping may be something that we don't want. It's probably not what we want, because obviously today it hurt pretty bad. So that was the first thing that took up way too much of my time. Once we identified that, then it was building out this really janky parsing. We have 2 sets of data here. One is split by this new line is the stacks. The next is the instructions. And so what we needed to do is we needed to build vertical data via horizontal parsing, right? We're going to read these line by line. There's no concept of a column reading from a text file, or maybe there is, but I don't think so. So we had to build it ourselves, and I was trying for the longest time to figure out these spaces. How could we split this up? Can we create a new list by that? What I realized is that the 1, 2, 3, and eventually the all the way up to 9 occurs on the exact same index every single time, right? So there's the perfect amount of spaces on things that are empty as there are the things that are filled with these brackets. And so I realized if we go up a line, so if we want to find the first column's item on the bottom of the stack, we just have to go up a single line, and then we have to look at the exact same index, which in this case is 1, because we've got a blank space here. and then rinse and repeat all the way up to build a reverse list. And then we just have to remember that the ordering is important, bottom to top, first to last. So basically we do some really dumb code here to separate out the instructions from the stack. We tell a variable when the instruction starts so that we can use it later for actually running the instructions. And then once we get to the bottom of that, we break because we're done. Then we're going to go through everything, do some stuff. If it's a digit, we're going to know that that is the number. That's the bottom, right? That's where we start to build our list. So then we're actually going to go up a range backwards. We're going to check the character in question, make sure that the character in question is a digit. Some of this may not even be necessary. No, because you have to keep these empty spaces open so that something can move in, right? And so what we did is we put in a placeholder, an exclamation point. If I messed up on some dumb index stuff, I could fix that here, but I just said sweep it under the rug, aka we've hit the end. If the character in question is alpha, right, so if it's any of these, then we're going to put it in to this thing called a stack. And then once we hit the end, we're going to build our list, aka if we get to the very top of these stacks, build away. So we are going to clean the stack by discarding all of those placeholders because we no longer need them. We're going to append that, and then we're going to reset the stack. Finally, at the bottom, we're going to set up our instructions. For every single line in the instructions, we're going to split out the integers of the quantity, what column it's coming from and going to. We're going to build the new list that we need. We're going to sweep my mistakes under the rug. And then for part one, we basically just said, hey, grab the very last item of that from list, put it onto the to list, move on with our lives, get all of the final answers as a string, and then spit that out here. For part two, very similar, but this time we're basically going in a reverse order. So we're subtracting the quantity, so in some cases that would be like a 3, and then we're taking the current iteration of this, we're adding that back to it so that we kind of go in reverse order, because this times is always going to count up, which means it's going to take away from this quantity. We're going to pop those and put them on in the same order that we pulled them from, and then similarly build the new string and return that. So the only thing left for me to figure out tonight, I'm not going to do it on video because I don't want you guys to have to deal with me figuring it out, is how do we split this up so that answers 1 and 2 can work. I did get stuck here because we're replacing these stacks and stack variables in line. And so the second that you try and reuse them for something else, it's replacing it. I did try to create a whole new stacks answer 1 and 2 up here, pass that all the way down, and it still wasn't working, so I probably missed something. But that's pretty much it. This one was super tricky. Bad utility on my part for opening the input, bad understanding of how best to parse this kind of data, and then finally bad understanding or a missed line, trying to figure out why these two answers, two parts rather, would replace each other on the answer. So it took much longer than it should have. The code itself wasn't super tricky, but definitely the concept of parsing was, and then got stuck on a couple of my own things. So if you like what you see, make sure to subscribe to me, and we'll see you tomorrow for day 6.